wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quench the thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grieving. Put your foot on the gas, no, never stop competing, yeah. I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want it, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally unhealthy, spreading like a rare disease, but I won't let it get to me. I don't need your therapy, I can leave a legacy. I'm leading by intensity, my mind, we can fight this. Freedom is priceless, spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me, you can take it, go on and take your aim. Built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Gray Pill Pocket. Somebody got some stuff going on in the background. Mute it, please. Gracias. Appreciate you. All right, guys. Welcome to the Gray Pill Podcast. Like always, your host with the most, Angelus, represent for GP. We have an interesting show for you today where we'll be discussing about the origin, the evolution, the history of the N-words. Like always, we have my wifey, Minka. Say what's up, girl.
Hey.
What's going on? And like always, I have my brother from another mother, Primal. You can check him out at Primal Studios, his YouTube channel. Primal
Hey.
Studies. Thank you. What's going on, Primal? And last but not least, like always, Papi Blanco. You can catch him at Papi Blanco TV at YouTube.
How y'all doing today?
All right. So again, guys, we're gonna have a special conversation, and if we get a little debated, that's fine. We're gonna have an open discussion and a good conversation again about the history of the N-words, the origin, the history of it, and pretty much a conversation that give a little background on Primal Studies channel. Last week we had a good conversation about the controversy with Joe Rogan, and the platform dragged out about like 2 hours or so, and it pivoted to a whole new conversation about the N-word. So we figure we'll bring that conversation over to here and extend it from there. So have fun with the intro. Yeah. Now, I just want to ask everybody real quick, because everybody has their own opinion from last time we had a discussion about it, and I'm sure everybody has their own thought process how it is. But do anybody know the meaning of the N-word? And I'm gonna go ahead and say it because pretty much everybody have their own definition. From my end, the N-word is nigger, or from one of the homies, nigga. So, do anybody know the definition of it on their end? Anyone step up with a conversation before I give an actual definition that I brought up? Minka, Poppy, Primal. Do anybody know the definition of it? No? Yes, no?
Yes.
What's
yes.
up?
From what I know, from what I have read, and people have teach me, is the starting with the word nigger comes from Latin. It's actually say nigger the same way, but just with one G.
Okay,
You know,
so
with
it's
the
spelled
devil G,
differently.
like they say here in America. Um, and all and if all other thing that I read about was that it comes from the word in African niggas, something like that. Negus. It comes derived from that too.
Okay,
So that can be debated. And it's probably one of the most evil word that ever in the dictionary if you think about it.
okay. Now, for everybody else that's like a little bit silent on the matter, so I'm gonna pretty much pull up a couple of videos and clips just to keep the conversation going, so people can kind of understand and give more depth to it. So I'm gonna give a special shout out to Randall Kendall. He's a black author, graduated from Harvard. He actually did a novel on the book, and it's actually called Nigger. It's a black cover. You can go check it out. Also, you can look him up. It's a very he did far as I researched and I seen, he actually did two good conversation and interview pieces of it back in his prime days and recently. And also, if anybody familiar with the rapper KRS-One, he also wrote a book. I'm probably much gonna misquote the title of it, but he said all my niggas. So, but I'm gonna pretty much show the clip so it can be so I get corrected on it. He actually explains a little bit of that. So we're gonna go pretty much like in two definitions. And there's another guy, no author, just a regular YouTuber, just somebody guy, just like little expats. He actually visits another country, southwest corner of Africa, where they actually use that word frequently, and they're going to break down their definition of what it means. Okay. One second. Let me guys know y'all can see the screen.
I can see the screen.
Okay, cool. You said you can see the screen, or you can't?
I can't see the screen,
Okay, you can.
but I ain't seeing nothing moving.
Okay, one second. I'm just making sure I got it all blown up.
It just looks like it's going within.
One moment though. Okay, cool. All right, here we are. All right, y'all can see that. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool.
The Latin word for black. But as soon as enslaved Africans were brought to these shores, the word, pronounced with various accents and emphasis, was used to depict them not just as something derogatory, but as something not quite evolved from ape to human being. By examining this one word, we get an understanding of not only who we are, but who we have been and who we might become. But this two-syllable word and its evolution reveals much about American society.
There is some risk in attempting to isolate the idea of contemporary culture and comparing and contrasting it to early American culture. For me, it's an artificial distinction. I think it's more useful to look at this word and its usage as part of a seamless strand, really a seamless narrative that runs from before the beginning of the country to where we are now.
In 1619, settlers in Jamestown were already using the word to describe the enslaved blacks.
You will find that British redcoats, and this is well documented, used the N-word when they taunted the Revolutionary Army, because the idea was, you're so weak, you have to use niggers to bolster your troops.
By the turn of the century, blacks had been freed from slavery for almost 50 years, but were second-class citizens in the North and lived in harsh
Now they they gave the definition, and plus the last one, which was kind of like shocking to me because I never heard that. I saw this when I interviewed with an article. Again, shout out to Ronald Kennedy. He gave pretty much the same story about the bolster. He said, and I'm trying to remember him verbatim what the story he said. He said he was out of college, he was playing pro football, and and he used the term nigger to rally up to give an example, pretty much not just for the blacks, even though majority of blacks was in his team on his side, but he spoke about everybody, and he used that term to bolster and rally his team. And he gave an example, said, "Hey, I don't want you playing. I want you playing like those niggers. I don't want you playing like this nigger. I want you playing like those niggers." And when he pointed at the other team, there was all whites, and so that was his way to rally up his players. And in the second, third quarter, they was losing. They did lose. So in the back of the behind the scenes, the teachers and whoever got together, spoke to him about it and asked him not to even speak the word again, because again, as we know on the states, this is is a demeaning word, used as a demeaning term, and just something here in the states is just not used point blank period, or chosen not to use because we know the history of it. So ever since then, he just never used it. But I find it interesting, especially on the soldier side, in that earlier years, that they used that term to rally their troops, and just so happily, most of them was in their eyes was niggers. And like earlier, like Poppy said, the term is a Latin term that was used for black to identify a color. You're looking around, Minky, you got thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, keep going because I have thoughts about it, but keep going. Not yet.
Okay. You have any thoughts, Prem, real quick before I jump to
Yeah, it's funny. I took 5 years of Latin in school growing up, and that word was definitely there in its native form, if you will, in Latin. Now Latin is a non-spoken language for the most part, so it was pretty much all in writing. But then you can see how it spread to the other. What came after Latin was Portuguese and Italian and Spanish and French and some of these other languages. So that derivative also then went to these successor languages, if you will. So then that just kind of makes it a whole nother level, right?
Yeah. Well, and now let me throw my little theory in this, because when I saw that, the whole Latin thing, because like I said, I didn't know anything about that, and when I hear Latin, I think like the show Supernatural, or like some horror movies. Like you got to learn how to read Latin to get these spells off, to get rid of these demons. But that's what I thought of Latin. But when this came up, and especially during that time, but I wasn't thinking of like the war. I was thinking more of the Southern slavery time. So I figured like, okay, well, they were the Southern twang, and how they speak in that languages, they don't use proper English, like the English and everybody else did back then, but they pretty much just was trying to say the Latin word, but then they added extra G to it. That's what I was thinking during that time. That somehow, like the form of slang and curriculum terminologies we use today, it's like we'll add on certain adjectives, or we'll add on certain letters to keep things going from there. I thought that was pretty interesting from there. But I'm gonna go ahead and show this other one right here, where a guy is actually explaining it on his end. All right, y'all can see that? Cool.
That killer Mike.
And when you say that word here, it doesn't offend people, and they don't really know what it means. And we have this misconception as Americans, and we think it's such a bad word, and it is a bad word in the U.S. only. So what happens? So here, if you call someone by the N-word, it's referring to the river or the country, right?
Yes.
So people don't get offended.
No, not really, because the people who know about the N-word are those who went outside the country, and it's not offended because we are from Niger.
Right.
So it's also the same thing in German. You say the N-word.
How do they pronounce it?
Niger. Ich komme aus dem Niger.
So you say I'm from Niger.
Yeah. Ich komme aus dem Niger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not.
She lives in Germany for 7 years. Yeah.
So it's not a bad thing for us. It's our identity. So yeah, it's not negative.
Right.
and it doesn't offend us if someone calls us with any word because we are from Niger.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
How do you feel about nigger if I say the word nigger?
Nigger is this word is used in several languages. We have in French, nigger, in English, nigger. You said in Deutschland, nigger.
Yeah.
Nigger is another word. Niger is another word. We are Nigerian. We have Nigerian.
Yeah, Nigerian. This is also another problem. So let me explain. So there's two countries, is Niger and Nigeria. All of you watching this video probably know of Nigeria because it's the most populated country in Africa. They speak English and it's very well known around the world.
Yeah.
But nobody really knows about this country because if you say you're Nigerian, people think you're from Nigeria.
Yeah.
So do you struggle with this when you travel?
Every time. Every time I have to take the map and show the people that I am from the Republic of Niger. I'm not from Nigeria. When I speak, you can see that I'm not from Nigeria because my English is not an English from Nigeria.
Right.
It's an English from a French speaking country.
Correct.
So
So more things about this country. They speak French. It's mostly in the Sahara Desert. It's really hot. Like the first thing I arrived, he was like, "Welcome to my effing country," meaning the hottest place. And I can tell you, I've been sweating all day.
Yeah.
How do you survive here, man?
We have to.
What's your what are you smiling? What's your thoughts on that, Mika?
I was laughing because he's like, "How do you survive out here?" And he's very pale, so I could imagine he got sunburnt.
Yeah, he kicking in that tan.
And then I was thinking about Primal being in Africa under the sun, and he's so pale.
Oh, I get dark. Don't you sweat.
Right.
I get yeah. People think that I am not a quote unquote white guy after about a week of summer. They start to confuse me with other ethnicities.
Yeah, he's in that winter phase now.
I feel you. I barely got a tan. I was like, I was laughing because the way that they talked about it was so pure, and it was cute to see that it's like, no, this is our pride. This is where we're from. To us, it's not a word because they didn't experience it that way. But it's also on the side note, like on the backside, it's sad as hell because where the word originated from, where it actually means, and where we have kind of pervertitized. I don't think it's a word. Pervertual. I can't remember the word, but we perverted the word.
Hey, to be fair, Niger wasn't a word too until because it got documented and that was in our history. So go ahead, do you?
Yeah, and it's just sad because you go from like the two beautiful people that are standing there explaining this and explaining where they're from and their ability to travel and what it's been like with that word, and then you go into if I like play it back in my head of what it was described when they were trying to describe it as people that weren't human or weren't fully human, that's where it's like that hurts. You know what I mean? That's all.
What about you, Poppy? Any thoughts on that one?
I mean, I knew that it was a country named Niger, but she was trying to say that in different language they all sound the same to me.
Yeah.
They all sound the same definition. She was like, well, in German is nigger, and then in Nigerian is nigger, and then in French is this and that. It sounds the same to me, but
which is true. I mean,
yeah,
when you say it in other countries, that's how they take it, and that's pretty much the definition for them. Even because like, what's your background? If you don't mind me asking.
I was born in Colombia. My parents are Colombian, but all my ancestors come from Cameroon, 78% Cameroon and 8% Senegal. So they come from Africa. But this is like great grandpa, because my uncle traced all of that back. I mean, that's what he says, and I don't know how accurate that can be, but that's what we go for.
Now let me ask you this, just to pull a little hairs, because again, I don't know everything. So, is there a Spanish or Puerto Rican word for the word black?
Yeah, negro.
That's another one.
Negro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not really used in the same way.
I
No,
know,
it
but
depends.
I'm just
It
saying that
depends where they come from.
as far as being identified though, like his country, and I give you another one because I know we mentioned way back the Philippines because the Philippines country is pretty much Asian and was it Asian and Spanish, which pretty much back in the day was
The Spain people what's
colonized. Yeah, they
they
colonized over
landed on
there.
the land.
Yeah, they landed on there and they colonized. They pretty much worked with Americans. It was a whole little revolutionary thing there at that time. But you have like almost 7 or 8 different languages, and Grover mentioned one in I think Primal's podcast. The main one is pretty much Tagalog, but majority of the schools there, when they go there, they're learning not their language, but the main language they are learning is English. But if me or Poppy on site when they see us, they would say negro, black. They would identify us as black. They won't
Right.
say. I know. I'm just saying that's
But
another
that's
term to identify.
right, but
Just
that's
like
what I'm trying to say. It's different in Spanish and in Tagalog. It's still different than what Americans use the word. So negro means black. It doesn't
mhm,
mean the other word. So if I was talking to Poppy or my mom asked me like I'm saying, "Oh, Poppy, this," she's like, "Oh, who's it?" Asking me his race, I'd be like, "Oh, he's negro or negrito," which is like the way you say it, like with like
That's like saying little
endearment.
black.
yeah. But now,
Yeah,
if you're saying that about Poppy, now what he identifies that though? Now, Poppy, what do you identify as?
When I'm over there, when I go see my grandparents, they're still back there. Most of my family is here in the
Mhm,
States. When I go over there, it's black, negro,
o-
because they still got the same policy classification as here. You got your white Latino people, then you got your black Latino people,
mhm,
and then you got your Indian people in there.
mhm.
And
but go ahead. Sorry.
and and then over there, obviously, have to mark what it say, negro. You see
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying? And that's what I classify myself. Like we all black at the end of the. I mean, no, we all not all the people here, but if you got this kind of color, you know where you come from. Yeah.
Hold that pause. Hold that pause, private. Yeah.
Not that way. I say no, everybody in the panel, of course. When I talk about like, when I was talking about like we all black.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, but like I was saying, man, like when you got this kind of hair and you got this kind of color, you know exactly where your ancestors come from, which is from Africa. You see what I'm saying? There is no disputing that.
Gotcha. But that's pretty much the point I was trying to make. Mika. Just, I mean, I get it. Every country they identify you differently, but just the point of the nigga, the negro, uh, is black, and how people phrasing it from that point on, from the 1600s, 1800s war up to now, it's like, okay, let's add a different word. And this is me. I'm just putting my little spin on it because that's how I perceived it. And I know everybody perceives things differently. And I think that's even more the point. Even when you have a discussion asking about Poppy, is how people perceive different things. Because now, me personally, living in the States, I take it as depending on who's saying it, number one, that instantly that's that's triggering for me, and how it's been used in the context. That's a little bit triggering. If you use the Nigger, or just say it purely, the hairs raise up for me. Uh, but the more you do your homework, the more that you dive into it, I understand not just the history of it, but when I say history, I mean the negative part of it. But I also understand the actual the origins of it too. Like again, like Primal had just brought up, hey, I did Latin. This means black. But are we speaking Latin with each other to self-identify? No, we're speaking English. So it's like you have to kind of build these contexts and these barriers with other people, try to understand that, and that's where it becomes it's like an issue, not issue, depending on who you're speaking with, and that's it's like it's a little bit crazy.
Mhm.
Now
Yeah.
I want to show a clip here from KRS-One. So he pretty much dived in a little bit deeper of his research on it because he actually breaks down the whole nigger conversation. But let me pull it up real quick. second. How the lead attorney says it. Stream struggles.
Struggle streaming, brother. Struggle streaming.
Struggle streamings. All right, I'm having my first, and I'm getting my cherry popped on this one.
I had a joke for that, but I'm just gonna let it roll.
I kind of knew you did.
Is anybody else? Is Angelus froze for anybody else? I hear your voice fine, boss, but the video of it, you look stuck.
Yeah, I'm froze. I'm waiting for it to load up. But do me a favor, Mika.
You're back. You're good. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, I'm back. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm still stuck on my end. Mika, you there? I want to make sure I keep the show going.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, do me a favor. Kick me out, and I'm just gonna restart on my end and pop back in. And y'all can keep the show going. So give me like 2 minutes to come back to get this fixed on my end.
Whoops, I was about to kick Poppy out.
Oh Lord.
How am I kicking you out?
It should be at the bottom. You click on me. I'll just log out because it's gonna kick me out automatically.
Got it. Bye.
She's like, oh no, I figured it out. Bye, bitch.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, girl. Bye. Speaking of bye, girl. Princess K dropping you some love there in the chat. I don't know if you saw that.
Princess can't win.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thanks, Princess K. Hi, girl.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other girl, man.
No, that's my homegirl.
No, I thought Prime was talking about the other girl.
There's another girl?
No, it's a different. I thought it was the pink
Oh,
girl.
yeah. Poppy Blanco TV. Is that
No,
what
the
you're
pink
talking
girl. The pink camel girl. I thought that's what the girl.
Poppy knows with Primal, there's always some girl, right? There's always some girl with drama, right?
There's always some girl.
The drama king.
You know, somebody's got to bring the great value entertainment circus around for y'all once in a while, so I can be the ringmaster, the ringmaster of the great value entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Please do, man.
I don't know
Please
how
do.
I don't know how I feel about that.
You don't feel about what?
You providing any entertainment.
What? No, why? What did I do now?
What did I do? I'm an innocent bystander. Oh no.
I'm just an old bald white man. That's all I got going.
No, you white chocolate, man. Don't lie.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You traded me for Mr. Sharp, right? You traded me for
Sharp,
Mr. Sharp.
baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did a racial draft.
Jesus.
Are you, Minka? Are you doing okay there?
I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling without my husband here. I don't know what to do. I'm like a chicken without a head. I'm like,
Typical. No. So here's what I thought was interesting. And when I was doing a little research on it, it actually looked to me, and y'all compare notes with me, but the N-word in its form that's not a good form was actually first kind of popularized by Black people themselves, and then it was kind of bastardized at some point. Was that y'all's understanding of it? Was actually something that Black people referred to other Black people as, and then somewhere along the way, quote unquote white people or whatever, they heard them referring to each other as that, and then they took that on and they said, oh, they're calling each other that, we're going to use that as a term to label them or say something bad about them. I thought that was a really interesting thing. Is it wasn't something like, at least my understanding of it and what I researched, it wasn't like white people that came up with this term. It was actually Black people that were calling each other it, and then white people jumped on it and kind of made it a bad thing almost. I don't know. Did you all see that piece of it?
Well, I got the first part you saying. I agree with that one, but the last part, I have to clap back on that and disagree. It's pretty much. I took it as in slavery days, the white people used that to identify them as nigger. It wasn't like me and Poppy hung out one day in the 1600s or before. This was it 1617 when the first documented time of slavery shit started coming in. It was like me and Poppy looked at each other like, "Hey nigga, hey nigga." I didn't get that.
Right. I didn't get that either.
Yeah, the back end, I pretty much got. Like I said, the beginning, I agree with you. It's pretty much it was like back and forth, like banter, like, "Hey, Latins, let's call them this." Somehow the word, the travel of that word moved over to another, and and they just continue to identify them because again, remember, we was property. So it's like what we're gonna call this product because we have was it 500, 600. I'm just making up a number. We had over 100, 600 of slaves coming in. This is product. So what we're gonna call the product? Okay, well, I took it as, hey, let's call him nigger. Okay, well, you had the Latins call him that. Somehow it translated over. We added an extra G into it. That was nigger, and it moved on and so forth and so forth. So that's how I took it. Now, when our ancestor was self-identifying ourselves, like like for example, the back in the day historical, it wasn't that historical, but close enough to the roots series of that documentary was identifying was hey, like Kuta Kinte, so what? They had their names, but when they was telling them their names, like, okay, well, maybe that name was too hard for them to identify, maybe that name was too hard for them, just too difficult. And again, their mindset was, slavery days was like, hey, you're still a product, you're a toy, you're whatever to me. So you're my property. So I'm gonna call you and name you whatever I can name you. But the overbroad name was nigger. So that's how I took it, and then just ran with it from there. Now, moving fast forward up to now, it's pretty much became like the black community said, "Hey, we own the name," and me, I said, "Okay, I get it." And now when they own the name, you got people using it as in context, out of context, jokes, a part of promotion. What's his name? Three major. Was it? Can't remember his name, and I don't know why I can't remember his name. So, one of our famous comedians that just passed away some years ago. A lot of his records was had the phrase on that nigger as attraction.
Richard Pryor.
Thank you, sir. Richard Pryor. That was another one. Also, Eddie Murphy was another one. Back of his, he used the same thing just to get that attraction build. So it's like, however they used it, it worked out for them. And I guess that's their way of taking the name back, making it something in a positive light. But I'm gonna get to that because what I want to show here is the clip for KRS-One to actually explain a little bit more about that word. And I think I think it's Poppy. Oh, okay. My bad. It's Primal. Okay. We identified and addressed the situation.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Poppy.
That was Poppy.
It's Poppy.
Poppy, you got to use headphones or something because your phone has interference.
Hey, I explained that to him earlier, so we'll see if you want to throw that extra $10.
It's like rice. It's like he's got a bowl of Rice Krispies right in front of him.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
Pouring the
I've
milk
seen that
right there
happen.
at the mic.
But I've seen that happen to a lot of people that are using their phones. It's a weird. I don't know why it does that, but it does.
Hey, shout out to Princess. I heard her when y'all was mentioning
back.
What?
Now you're fine. Now you're fine. But I'm just saying, if you want to respond, and now just to be safe and sorry, just mute your mic if you're not going to really say anything.
Okay.
All right. But invest in. This is for your upcoming YouTubers out there. Invest in headphones, invest in the Bluetooth, so that help you out a little bit and kill out that feedback. But I'm gonna show a little clip here to KRS-One kind of pretty much explain a little bit in depth about it. So here we go. Thank you, Mika, for holding the fort down.
You're welcome. Like I did anything.
I know you just there.
Thank God for Primal and Poppy being here.
Well, Primal knows a little bit better. He pretty much made him on the same fence with it. You and Poppy just the face.
I'm just driving the party bus here while you're gone, Angela. Somebody's got to drive the party bus.
And I appreciate you, sir. All right.
Should I go live from the party bus later?
Very controversial topic. In the United States, I'm quite sure all over the world. It's funny you asked me this question because I just wrote a book called Real Niggas, Niggas. It's a 600-page book on this very word. I dug deep into the word itself, and of course the surface information is that the word nigger, Nigger, is supposed to be a derivative of the Portuguese and Spanish negro. That's not true. And people cite it all the time, and even some dictionaries try to go back to that, but it's not actually true. I don't have enough time to cite a 600-page book to you here, but the main thing is that this word nigger, Nigger, actually comes from the Latin Niger, or what is called Niger. The French still say Niger. It actually comes from Latin. From the Latin, we get Portuguese, Spanish, English. We get a lot of even German words even. We get Dutch as well. Some Dutch words come there, and Scandinavia as well. The idea is that when one country or one group invades another group, the kings and high people, the priests of the invaded culture, they use the same names to describe these people, but in derogatory terms. So the word nigger originally meant king. It comes from the word negus and nagas, and negus, nagas meaning king of kings. There's also, just to go deeper with that, because even before negus and nagas, you get this word called nga, which is a word called nya, and it goes back to the what is called the the Hausa click language. And when colonial powers were coming in and invading Africa, the priests that would have been called the Nkosi, the Negus, the Naga, all Nagari even, which gets its Indian origination over there, the Devanagari writing. They start calling these names derogatorily. There's nothing derogatory about the word nigger, negro, nigger with an A, naga, Negroes, nothing derogatory about that. It's when colonial powers are saying, when a racist is basically saying, you know what it's like? The word American, used to be written in England like the word nigger is today. The word American in England, in the 1700s, in England, was written like, a marginalized lower class people. To be called an American was to be degraded in that sense. And so many other titles as well, like Christian even as well.
All right, so just in that, so hearing all that now, and like always, I'm play devil's advocate. So hearing that now, do we feel like this is a word that, we feel comfortable still saying in or out of the States?
Hell no.
Hell no? What about you, Primal?
No.
No.
That word is scary as hell to me.
What about you, Flippy, with the camera back and forth? Poppy?
He's trying.
Yeah, I'm mad. I had technical difficulties on my end too. So make it
Mercury has a shadow period.
Women.
You
I'm
scared
just
him
saying,
into
Mercury-
permanent mute button mode, man. You just scared him
Mercury
now.
in retrograde is a thing, and we're in the shadow period, so you're still having technical difficulties. Okay. Anyway,
Is this some
I think
is this some starry zodiac stuff you're spitting at us right now?
yeah, duh.
Yeah, but why wait late to give us that information? I think that should have been.
I gave it to you when Mercury started, and I told you be careful with electronics and forms of communication because they get iffy during this.
That was like weeks ago. Every time.
Yeah, and Because it lasts for weeks, and then there's a pre-period and a shadow period. It just ended, so now we're in the shadow period for the next 2 weeks.
You're a bad wife. You supposed to tell me this every morning. Hey, don't forget your shoes and socks and your wallet. All right.
Oh my God. I'll say.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, based off of you asked the question of like, how do we feel about the word? Does it change the word? Like, no, it's still the same. It's the same. I feel personally the same way that I did when I saw the man and the woman explaining their version of the word and how pure it was, just like this man was again explaining it was pure. And of course, the colonization is gonna pick the most sacred words and the most what he said it also it meant like kings of kings. Like, of course the colonial I'm gonna say they, because they're not my ancestors, no offense to whoever's ancestors they are. They have raped and pillaged throughout the entire world on different countries, different cultures, different everything. And I don't think that we should ever be comfortable using the words that they really like changed. They changed the meaning. Now it's just a symbolic message of like how much the Black community has gone through. It's no longer King of Kings. I mean, it could maybe in another country where they haven't had to experience that, but here, there's no way that it should ever be allowed to be said. I think that we should keep on, being aware of it, but not accepting it.
Okay. If anybody want to respond to that one, Princess says the colonial effect. I don't know. You have to add some context to that one. What you mean by colonial effect? Do you mean just transitioning over here to the Western society, or just in a whole?
Hell no. I mean, like being taken away from their homes and turned into slaves and raped and taken advantage of for centuries.
Gotcha.
Colonialization was in their minds. They were like, oh, these people are indigenous. They did it to the Indians, the Blacks, the Asians, they did it to everybody. And in their minds, they are the best. We are America's the best country. We are the best. And so all these people don't know any better. So we need to force our religion on them. We need to force our dialect on them. We need to force our culture on them. And to the point where they no longer remember their culture. They no longer remember their ancestral bonds. They no longer remember. That's colonization. That's taking over a territory that does not belong to you and making it yours. In their minds, and then you bring religion into it, and they wanted to force down a religion into different cultures when they already had their own religions. It was just, I'm right. It's either my way or the highway.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Oh no, you're good. Princess was just adding context, so she said she was help explaining it out with you. The effect of the colonialism could be another way to describe it too. Okay, yeah, she agreed with you. I sent a link, Princess, if you feel like you want to come in and voice your 2 cents to the whole matter, because again, it's a really good conversation to have, and it's something that a lot of people don't understand it, and that's why I have to actually thank Prime about it, because the whole Joe Rogan thing, when it came up and he had it on his stream, we had a good conversation about it, and at the end of it, it turned to something. This conversation we're having now, and which it need to be discussed about the N word. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, and I'm gonna show a clip that pretty much I think Poppy will feel more or agrees to it, because he had his own difference of opinion about it himself, and I'm pretty much neutral with it, but I do understand, and I believe on J Stream, Princess K, you also made the comment saying, "Hey, this is something I would not say, period, point blank," and I get that. So, and that's why I want to have this conversation.
Yay, she's coming.
And speaking of Princess K, a special shout out to Princess K. Welcome on, Princess K.
Hey, everybody. Hey.
Thanks for coming on.
Now, just to add, before I show the clip, the little bit that you have been on here, what is your perspective so far of everything that you've seen and heard with the N-word?
That was actually like that clip that you showed. I never knew that it came from the word to mean King of Kings. I was always under the assumption like it was a word derived from more of like the Spanish, Portuguese term for black.
I didn't even
Right.
know that was a Latin word until before Primal just mentioned it. Also doing my homework, I didn't know that was a Latin word. I heard of one
What, you
time.
didn't know?
No, I didn't know that, bro. Like real talk. I didn't know that. I knew of
Always
the
knew that.
I heard of the king phrase, but it wasn't ever that used that often. On a previous podcast, it's pretty much just a black channel, and somebody brought it up then, and I just like it just went over my head.
Right. It's just completely interesting how words can be something that was used to be a word to describe someone of honor or high esteem, of royalty, can be taken and twisted, used to be an insult, then used in popular culture as a way to refer to one another.
Right.
That's just very interesting to me. I should
Now,
really study that more.
now the question is now, and I'm pretty much I went around the board and waiting on get the Poppy's response. Hearing that now, do you still feel like that's a word that you would still use in this country and outside that country?
I've never used it in general, and I would still feel the same way, only because even though its origin isn't as bad as or nearly as bad as what I thought it was, um, it's still in this country used as more of an insult.
Correct.
So based off of how my society views it, I would still not use it.
Okay. I can respect that. What about you, Poppy? What's your thoughts on it during the time your technical difficulties on end? I don't know how much you heard.
Yeah, I've been listening the whole time. I'm in the computer now. Can you hear me well?
Oh yeah, we hear you perfect, bro.
Do you,
You're
you
fine.
do you still hear that sound in the background?
Nah, you're perfect, bro. Audio
All
quality,
right.
everything is good.
All right. Yeah. You asked me if people can use the word.
Yeah.
Which one though? With the one with the er or the one
And
with
it,
the a?
I'm gonna go ahead and say because pretty much if you say it, and this is and I think me Primal, K and Mink is pretty much on the same page this way. It's like if you say the one with the one R with the two R, it's like you're still hearing the same thing to us. So
Yeah.
that's we identify
Yeah.
for on that end. But if it's said, it's like that still feel triggering for us. It's like okay, that's something I just try to avoid it just to be safe and sorry. Because I'm a little bit older than you, so I feel like in the younger
Yeah.
generation, for on your perspective, and you've been outside this country. Like, how do you feel about it? Is that something you still would say? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I use nigga all day, every day.
All
Me and
right.
my homies, me and my niggas riding around. You see what I say? But that's how me and my boys communicate with each other.
Mhm.
Some of them are Black American. Some of them are Black Haitians. Some of them are Black Jamaican. You see what I'm saying?
What
Now
what
this
about
is
your
this
white
is this
Haitian?
is
What about your white Haitians and your white Americans? They cool with that too?
that's what I want. That's where I'm going.
All right.
Do yourself a favor. Don't use none of the nigger words. None of them, because violence might occur to you. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
Now, Minky in LA, she might get away with it saying in LA real quick to some white to some black white boy in a way, but she said to a black girl in the projects that might be problematic. You see what I'm saying?
All right. Now
It's
why
like
gotta be? Now I got to push back.
it's
So why
like a
gotta be the?
unspoken
Why got?
license to hurt
Why got to?
somebody.
Why do it have to be the projects? Okay. Do you live in the projects?
No.
Okay.
No,
So if
but
they
what
said
I'm
so, they
saying,
said to you.
No,
people,
Uh huh.
I think he's trying
but it
to.
would
I
be
think he's
somebody that
trying
would
to
not let
explain.
you ride with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right. Where
I get it.
as someone exactly. Some if I were to say it like at a party and there's a black person,
Hmm.
they might come to me and correct me and call me out. But what he's explaining is that it can get violent, especially depending on where you
Yes,
are. Where if you're in
Yeah,
the
yes.
hood, they're not gonna have a conversation with me. They're gonna call me out and beat the shit out of me.
Okay.
It's the
right.
same thing.
Yeah. I just want
So
to be. Go ahead.
Yeah,
to
and people,
I was going to ask, to y'all's knowledge, does any other cultural group have any sort of similar thing where there's a word that from an outside group or an outside person, quote unquote, if they were to call them that, it would be extremely insulting? But if a person from within their cultural group were to say it to him as a term of endearment, that's acceptable. Like, do Spanish people have that, or you get what I'm saying? Is there something
Yeah, I
that's
know what
similar
you're
in
saying.
other groups, or is this unique to black people?
I got one for you. It's not as bad as the nigger word, but Mexicans. The Mexican Americans look down on the Mexicans that cross the border, and they are the originators of calling. They are the originator of the wetback word, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say
That
that.
word comes from the Mexican guys that are born in here, there, which are called Chicano, and this is something all to the West Coast. Kind of look down the Mexicans across the border, and they call them wetback. That word comes from them. You see what I'm saying? Even though that the Mexicans that cross the borders, they father in a way.
And do
But it's
they
not
in turn call each other that? Do
Not the
they in
ones
turn do they refer to each other that in, hey, my, like you would say,
No.
hey, my N, and
Yeah.
but I don't feel, to my knowledge, it's not like they go, hey,
No.
hey, my brother, or hey, my fellow whatever. It's not like a, hey, this is my buddy kind of thing. I feel like that's just always a negative term, right? There's no positive spin on it.
No.
No, they usually use the word like to put them down, like
Right.
they about to get into a physical altercation. That's when I
Yeah.
you fucking
So-
wetback, you cross the border, this and that.
So that's what I'm
that's
saying. Is there a word in any other culture that when it's used by a person within that culture, it's acceptable or even a friendly word, whereas when a person from outside that culture uses, it's extremely disrespectful. Like I can't think of one. I can't, but maybe that's just me not knowing.
No, as far as I know either. But that's
No.
would be the close. Also, the Cubans go. Cuban people got the Cubans Americans got a word for the Cubans that get on them boats and get to Florida. What's the name of the word, man? It's kind of like derogatory, but it's not as bad either. I call it like balsero or something like that.
And I think for people that aren't part of the community, that's the hardest part to understand and to get online with. Is some people will say, okay, I can't call you that, but I see your friend that also has the same color of skin, they call you something very, 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 very close or the same thing. And they're kind of like, it seems like it builds a wall.
Yeah.
And it's more of an exclusive, like, hey, you can't be a part of the club. And I think that's driving more wedges and barriers than it is building communities.
Yeah. And let me add this because I don't.
Well,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Niger. No,
Go ahead. I will go after.
Okay, I was going to say this because going back to add on to what Poppy's saying, and Poppy can correct me if I'm wrong. A good buddy of mine, he's Mexican, and he made this pretty much the same conversation Poppy said. He said, "We don't say that in our community." He said, the Caucasian white people might say it to him in like a joking manner. They'll let it go over, but they'll feel some kind of way, but not as a way that as the black community feels. But within their community, it's not even. It's like pretty much if it's said, it's like a cross line, let's fight type deal. But he said now, since you mentioned the inside the community, he said you have the American Mexicans and you have the Mexicans like over that country, and when they come over here, their personality is different. It's like it's certain things you just don't say, certain things you just don't do, and just to add context with the Negro part in the Philippines, it is something that just said. But if you say that N word, they'll look at you like, "Hey, I don't know it, but I recognize it. But I recognize that's not something. It's just not said." So within the community, for us, I think it bounced back to that. As Black Americans, we own that word, so it's like, okay, we get to pick and choose who get to say it. We get to pick and choose, like, is it okay for them or for us to say it around us? One clip I didn't want to show him. It was a college guy pretty much going around doing like a who's it kind of test, like asking the college kids, like, would you give this person an N-word pass? Like if it was Kanye West or this person, that person, will you give them the pass to say N-word? And one Asian guy, he asked him like, would you say it? He's like, no. He's like, and then so the black guy with him had his arm around him, like, But you said it before. He's like, yeah, because I was around you and you gave me that look and that nod and that talk, explained it to me, and you gave me the okay to say it. And he said, yeah, with me, but not in public and not nobody else. So I get your point on that one. So it kind of bounced back to like you're in an in club. So I don't know. But me personally, to me, to Kay, to yourself, and then even to Minka, and correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like again, it kind of we know the history of it. We know how dangerous that word is because it's too picky. And I just can't run out to my house right now and just say that word all willy nilly because it would trigger some people. And even if I'm black, because I would have my older adults might look at me funny. Why are you doing that? Why are you saying that? You're belittling yourself. You're disrespecting yourself. If we had another outside our race, quote unquote white or Asian, whoever, just run around willy nilly saying it, okay, then that's a racist or something's wrong with that person. He got to be stopped. Any thoughts on that before I move to the next?
Well, I want to
wanted
hear
to
what
say
Minka. I
something.
want to hear what Minka thought because, yeah, I just want to it's another perspective, and I think it's just a fascinating conversation.
Right.
I think it's educational because I think that, like you just said it, that it's a couple of things have been said, that it's a picky word, that there's a club about it if you can say it or not. And I think that every Black person, no matter what their background is, has their own distinguished version of what they feel about it. Because I've talked to people that are the older generation that don't have any respect for anyone, period, that says the word or variation of it. I've talked to other people that say like it's not necessarily a right, because like I feel like other races, like myself included, we don't really, there's no like pass of like, okay, you can say it. So people have told me I'm like the H version, where it's like not the hard R, because they're telling me like you mine, right? And that's like a socially accepted, like they're using the word and they're Black and they're okay to say it, but that still doesn't allow me to say it. I just think that there's so much history about it, and that's why I wanted to say it about what you said earlier of like it seems like there's creating more of a block, but I think there should be more of a block, because if I take it, I always take things like I try and put myself in the shoes. If like my ancestors, my family, my grandmother, my great grandmother, everybody in my lineage has suffered by being Black, then I would not like I would want to be able to mandate how people use that word that has hurt my culture for so long. I would want to put that barrier of like, no, this is our word now. This was originally our word. You guys fucked it up. You're not able to do whatever you want with it anymore. Now we're taking it back. That's just how I see it. I think there should be a roadblock where it's like no one else can use it, kind of, if that makes sense. Just because the word
Yeah.
has so much goddamn history and there's pain.
Yeah, some people might be fine with it though. I mean, even them not addressing the history that it got brought up earlier. So, like probably said, like, hey, I say it all the time. I don't care. It's a word. It has
But
history
Poppy's
to it.
Black. I'm saying that people that are not Black should not be able to have a say whether or not they're able to say it or not, period.
Okay, so now we go back to primal thing then. So it's like an in club.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I said.
So you're it, so you can say it, but if you're not it, you can't say it.
No. I'm saying even if you told me, Anna, you're in the club, you can say it all you want. I should have enough understanding and respect that I would never say it, period.
Okay.
That's
Now
what I'm
let-
trying to say.
I got you. So now let me address that, because this is from me speaking for me as a Black person, and majority of people, the Black community says this. Most of them just like, probably like, well, I don't care. It's not in context. You're not using it to be disrespectful. But what you said earlier, I personally would never give nobody okay to say that. Just the fact that like it just spoken for me as a Black person, I would never give anybody okay to say it. I don't care. Primal saved my life 3 times over. You know what I'm saying? Come out the blue, bought me car, bought me house. Like, hey man, it's just because of you, brother.
I don't think it's something that's like earned, right? I think it's you either
Right.
you either are or you're not. Like
It
kind of
Well, it kind of is and it isn't. And I said it's weird because in the fact that we have these conversations, it's kind of like and I don't want to say like the cool kids, but it's like you're more awoke, you're more aware of certain situations. It's like how you adapt, how you carry yourself. And Poppy can correct me wrong on that one too. So it's like I give you an example. Like, I consider you my brother. We depending on certain situations, like, I'm aware of your awokeness. I'm aware that you're aware of certain situations with diversity with races. You're checking other people. Now, I'm not policing you about it, but I'm just seeing how you carry yourself with that situation. Not just carrying ourselves like, hey, we're bros, we're guys, but carrying ourselves on that racial platform. So when I see that now in a guy on guy code, when we get kind of like a superficial nod and wink, like you cool. Now we're giving you that other type of level, like wink, wink, hint. You're that in. You know what I'm saying? Without even saying it. But go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've had multiple black friends in my life that, hey, you're my N, and it's not. I would never feel comfortable saying that back to them. I'd be like, yeah, man, I'm your bro. Like, I just don't feel like it's my place. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, can I ask a question? Because I feel like because you understand the severity of the word, that's maybe why you would never feel comfortable. And what I think is happening is like people, I feel like somewhere along the road, it was kind of like you said, Angelus, like you see how someone is carrying themselves, you see that they're protecting like the Black community and all those things, and they gave them kind of a pass to say like not the hard R, and like somewhere over the course of the last 5 years, now it's become a thing where like people are saying like, it's okay, my friends are Black, it's okay, like I was given the pass.
Yeah.
And that's the part. It's like they're making it a cool thing if you're able, like, if does that make sense?
It do.
It's like some fucked up shit.
It's very picky, and it's like on these little eggshells lines and not lines, invisible lines. And I'll give you another one. I'm trying to get as close comparison as possible to the viewers and everybody else. Let's just say, Primal said, like, hey, I'm giving that, that fist bump and saying, hey, okay, you're that guy, you're cool, but at the same time, I think Primal, not just saying that he knows the offensive word, but I also feel like Primal's more aware of like, hey, even if they said 10 times over, I'm that guy, I would never say it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I give an example. Let's just say, for example, with Oprah. We know how Oprah's reputation is. We know how much money she got. We know her businesses. But we know daggone well if she steps out a line in some social circles, it would cost her everything. So I think that's pretty much what comes down the line with when if some community, the Black community, give an okay to Primal. Again, give an example. Give Primal the okay to you're cool to kind of say it without even telling them to say it, or if your friends where you at and you're predominantly in that part of California say, hey, we say it all the time. You can say it too, Mika, and you're not going to say it because at the end of the day, subconsciously that might cost you everything. So I think that's the best comparison I can give. Yeah.
I think it's just fucked up. We started the video by identifying that that's the term that they used to refer to Black people as almost human, but not quite there yet.
Correct.
If you understand that, then there should be no confusion as to why you should and shouldn't use that word.
Yeah, it's not a
in
matter
my
of
eyes.
fear of getting canceled. It's a matter of I understand where it came from and what it means. And to me, it's such a dehumanizing word. Like I can't be cool enough with anybody to feel like I can use that word.
Hey, I got you, Poppy, because I saw you like twisting your lips.
I know,
and stuff,
me too, right?
But let me add this clip real quick, and I'll let you. I got you because I want to be fair with everybody on this topic. So let me go ahead and share this video real quick. This little subject matter.
The word started as a racist thing many years ago. And we don't view it as that no more, unless it's being really just the context of it. So like, how can we tell everybody hip hop is for everybody? How can we really tell everybody, yo, if you white, hip hop's for you. If you Chinese, hip hop's for you. If you fucking Arab, hip hop's for you. And we say nigga all day. And they think that's what's cool. So if they like, yo, what's up, my nigga? Oh shit, you a racist. You know they ain't really mean it racist. You know our sister ain't telling her, yo, what's up, my nigga, racist. She's saying, what's up, my nigga? You see what I'm saying? The craziest shit, I'm gonna give you some breaking news, right? The craziest shit is Reverend Al Sharpton. This is some shit, and I shouldn't be telling you this, but Reverend Al Sharpton made a whole campaign against the word nigga. I swear to my mother drops dead. The first time I ever met Reverend Al Sharpton was with Don King, and Don King said, Reverend Al, do you know Fat Joe? He said, how am I gonna not know the realest nigga in New York? It's the first thing he told me ever in the history of mankind. That's my nigga, Fat Joe. I was like, mind boggled with the nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's fucked up. Started out racist. Somebody made it cool. Nobody can take the blame for that one because it's cool. Like, you know, it's like, it's what it is. I'm sure I'm willing to defend her. I never met her in my life, and I'm sure she meant it as a term of endearment. Now, if you old school and you grew up when segregation and you grew up when they was, you know, throwing water on people in Rosa Parks, then you take offense to that. You know, but
have you ever had an African American person?
What's your thoughts, Poppy?
In regard, Fat Joe using it,
or just because you
Fat
seem like
Joe
you had
is
thoughts before.
Puerto Rican and Cuban.
Yeah, but you pretty much had thoughts before. You know what I'm saying? Before I showed the clip, because your lips was twizzling anything from between what Prime might make us saying. So, you know, you had thoughts before I showed the clip.
Yeah, it's cutting in now. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts
you hear me?
before? Yeah, I hear you. Did you have any thoughts before the? Okay. We'll get somebody else's thought and what Poppy figure out.
You have to repeat it.
Oh, okay. I was asking before I played the clip.
Can you hear me?
Did you have? Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, I was asking.
Fat Joe is Cuban. Fat Joe is Cuban and Puerto Rican. You see, he said he come from black descendants, so and he from New York. New York is a different animal. You see what I'm saying? This is what this waters get muddy a little bit because, I mean, Angelos, you from around the corner. You're from Jersey. You literally from like 30 minutes away. So it's different. I mean, on New York and Jersey, we all live on top of each other. You see what I'm saying? And Latino peoples are on top of black people. We live in the same buildings. We're in the same schools. Hell, we mess with each other. Like we mess with each other to the point that New York is nothing but a bunch of black and Puerto Rican babies. That's what New York is. Fat Joe, I mean, and he a rapper. You know what I mean? So he got he can.
You gotta be a rapper to be okay to say the N-word?
No, but he come from those kind of background. He's I'm telling you from what I know, from what he said. He said he come from black descendant people. You see what I'm saying? My thing is, if you black, I think you can use it. If you are not black, I mean, even though the Fat Joe don't look black, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. You can, yes, like if you are a non-black person, just stay away from saying it. Just to be on the safe side. Because you don't want to be in a concert rapping to Migos songs and the nigga will slip out of you. Your friend might be okay with it, but the person don't know you behind you don't. You see what I'm saying? And I seen that in the concert though. I seen a white boy get his ass split for saying nigga. Even though like I find it's funny to me because he rapping after the song. He was at the wrong concert, man. He was at the Gucci concert.
So let me get this straight. So it depends if he's in a certain type of rap concert. It's okay if he can and can't say it.
No, but look, it's like this, man. I know people that they let their white friends say around them on that circle. I don't let no white people. I don't let no white people say that around me, yo. You got to check off the rep. You see what I'm saying? But I know of certain groups, my friends that I heard that they let their white friend say, "Oh, my nigga," and that's normal for them because That's how they grew up. That's where they, you see what I'm saying? That's their
Yeah.
circle right there. That's how they get down in 3-4 guys. Also, I even heard white girls saying it. I even got into, I remember a couple years, but I got into with this white girl after the club, yo. And her reason was because her baby daddy was black. I'm like, yo, yo, I swear, all my kids, yo. I'm waiting. I'm at the line waiting for. I was getting some tacos, I believe. Yeah. And this girl just is one white girl, 3 black girls. She said, "Nigga this, nigga that, nigga this, nigga that." And I just don't. At first, I gave her the face, right? And she continued with the nigga talk. And I turned around to her. Yo,
that was the face, Primal.
Yo, I turned around towards her black homegirl. I'm like, yo, you ain't listening to this girl right here. Why you ain't smacking the shit out of her, yo? Mm-hmm. And then she was like, what? My baby daddy black. I'm like, yo, relax before I smack the black off you right now. And I know you white. Like, relax. You better go get your baby daddy so I can fix him up, yo. And homegirl like, hey man, she ain't got with us, man. It's not even like that. I'm like, yo, don't let this white bitch say that shit like that, yo. Like, yeah, like she's in the open, she's in the public eye right now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's how they get down. That I understood that later on. That's like they went to high school together. Now they grown. So now she's so used to it that she just saying it. And that's my point. You might say in the wrong setting, and that's gonna turn into violence real fast, yo. That's most people understand violence, yo.
Yeah, so she wasn't woke, but she just felt like she was down enough to actually be okay with saying it. Because I think that's a different with a lot of people too. It's like I'm down to say it because, like I said, that subliminal wink wink to primal black friends, but he's woke enough to know, okay, I'm still not gonna say it. I understand it. I'm respect you as a black man, as a black woman, as a sister, my friend, my coworker, not to say it because I know the history of it. And same thing like Black Joe was saying, like, hey, if you's backing him, you're the one of them old heads backing him time. Like you have that more social awareness of not to say it, like the white girl in public. That's crazy. I'd have loved to see that one out. Go ahead.
So something that it's been on my mind since we had the conversation, last week.
Mm-hmm.
And do we ever get to a point where somebody isn't black enough to use the word?
Oh Lord. Unless you're back in Africa and nigga. Does that
But I feel like this kind of thing comes up. Like, oh, we're gonna take his whatever card. Oh, we're gonna take his man card. We're gonna take his black card. We're gonna take his whatever. Like, I feel like that could potentially, like, people at some point may go to, man, you shouldn't say that. You're not black enough, or you're not whatever enough. Like, I feel like that could be a thing at some point.
I think it's a thing now because I had a buddy of mine. I remember when I was staying in Jersey City and I was catching rides with him to work, and he was so excited about his wife had cooked this food, and he was naming on the fixin'. I think he named oxtails and something like that, oxtails and chitlins. I was like, ew. And so when I said that, he's like, oh man, I'm taking away your black card. I took it as a joke. But I thought that was the most stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. So because I don't eat certain foods that you eat, I'm not, like you just said, I'm not black enough. That doesn't make any sense.
That almost like it was a joke.
It was a joke. Again,
I think
it was a joke, but I understood it. But
right.
but if you have to go, like Prama said, and this is where I come down to it. If you have to go on that level, even if it's a joke, down the line, subconsciously, you might question me as far as my blackhood, as far as the N-word or anything else to even further disrespect me. You know what I'm saying? I get it was a joke. I didn't take nothing out of it. But the root of it could have been further. Like I said, I don't know him just a coworker. But if it come down to a friends or whatever, he might continue that joke. Like, again, in his home. Hey, my wife cooked this, that, there. Oh, we can't make nothing for him because he's not black enough. Even down to how we carry ourselves, I speak. Like me and you, Poppy, right now, we have two different conversations and dialect and how we speak to one another. You know what I'm saying? Most people are like, hey, you might be a little bit hood, you might be a little bit street, a little bit hood, a little bit ghetto. I might be speaking a little bit more proper. It's like those little gives and takes right there comes back to what Primal said. Hey, I might not be black enough because I'm not speaking like I'm from the hood. You might not be or I'm speaking too white because I'm speaking
I think
actually
talking,
English. But I know, but
yeah,
I'm just.
but
Go ahead.
what you're talking about is poor people mentality.
True.
That came from a systematic place of like telling within the community keep you more confined. So you hit it on the nail, and it started with things like the people in the Black community going to school and getting educated. So they were talking different, they were dressing different, less to their roots and more in society standards to advance out of the hood. And that's where people started getting this mentality of like, oh, you're not Black enough, you're not with us, you're not respecting your culture, you're trying to be like a white person, when reality is like in every other respect they were still a part of their Black culture and community. They were just trying to better their lives, and it happens in every community. I think it's in the Hispanic culture, the Asian community. Like, I think that it's just a poor people mentality to think you're not this enough. If you're Black, you're Black. If you're white, you're white.
But-
if you're Mexican, you're Mexican.
But as we get more, I guess, culturally intermingled, look at somebody like Fat Joe, and you say, "Hey, is he even Black?" And then we get people that aren't like super dark, and maybe there's been a couple generations of, well, my great grandfather was Black, but then I've had multiple generations of white parents, and yeah, I still identify as a Black man because that's in my past. But when other people say me, they're not sure if I'm just kind of a little bit, if I'm more tan or if I'm Black or who I am. And then we start, then we had to get into some like really gatekeeping kind of stuff potentially. And that's a concern I have legitimately, is there's going to be people that have legitimate Black ancestry that feel like they can use the word, and they go out and use the word, and they have a skin complexion that's not far off from mine, and then bad things happen to them. That's a legitimate concern I have.
I think it comes down to on that. Go ahead. Princess.
I'm like, it's kind of something that already happens, because you could be someone with a Black father and a white mother. And there are some people in the Black community who would say that you're not Black.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to describe you, they say that this is a mixed person or you're biracial, but they won't claim you as Black.
Mm-hmm.
And I come from a background where I used to be called Oreo.
I heard that term. I heard that term.
My
Talk about
community.
dehumanizing, Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? At least to me, like, that makes me feel bad. Yeah.
Because
Why they call you Oreo?
I mean, first of all, I started out in private school, and then my parents wanted me in public school.
Hold on, Kay. I'll let you continue. Poppy asked a question. He said, "Why they call you Oreo?"
Oh, it's because they felt like I was too white. That's why.
Yeah.
Because of the way I speak.
Yeah. Now,
the way I articulate myself.
Do you want to explain the full definition of Oreo? Because this is my terminology for it. Like, it's like you just said, you're Black. It's like if anybody, and again, it comes back to like it starts with joking and all these little terminologies.
Yeah.
Anybody seen the Oreo cookie? You got the Black up top, Black at the bottom, and a white in the middle. That's pretty much jokingly. That's pretty much supposed to be K.
That's what an Oreo is. It's a person that on the outside they look Black. They look like regular Black people in the Black community, but on the inside they're white.
So they say.
Yeah, and that is an
And
insult.
all of that because you speak properly.
Yes.
And
did that bother you?
It bothered them. Like, it's not that I didn't have some of the same experiences living with two Black parents in the household. It's not that we didn't have some of the same families. I mean, even my own family would call me that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, my dad is
I'm
from
gonna-
Louisiana. My mom is from Texas. And all of them have these thick country accents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I come in the middle, and I mean, it's to the point where I could call my grandma right now, and I'd have to take at least 2 minutes to explain to her that I'm her granddaughter and not a white sales lady.
We have a lot in common. My God rest her soul, my grandmother, no lie, 2 stories. I have my elder heads. Shout out to my cousins in the South. They're like, again, you said Texas, so and here in Alabama, Georgia, you got like linebackers. Everybody just pretty much 7 feet tall. This big dudes. Like they eat a lot. And here I come along. I'm 6 feet tall. To me, I'm like slender, but to Poppy slender. Like I compare Poppy petite. I'm like a little bit more between him and a little bit bigger than Primal size. And they call me the half breed. So I got my cousins call me the half breed because how I carry myself, even down to how I eat. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't just grab food and just shove it down my mouth. I use a fork,
Right.
a spoon. So I'm called the
Rabbit.
half breed. Yeah, and
I'm called the rabbit.
oh, okay, yeah. So I had my grandmother. I remember one time, Garverso, and I love her to death. I'm in Jersey. I call her all the time, holidays on point, and I would call her. And one time I called her randomly. She thought I was like a debt collector or something. I,
That happened to
I,
me
I,
too.
I swear to you, Primal. And guess what I led with though? This is a debt collector now, but guess what I led with? Hey, Mama, how you doing?
That's exactly what I said too. Hey, Medea, how are you?
It
That
makes
was
me
it.
hurt. Like, honestly, it makes me feel bad in my soul that people identify you by like you're whatever you're
Yeah.
like you're less than them or less than human or like to me it's dehumanizing and I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
It
a form
is.
of insecurity because here's the thing,
Yeah.
like I'm not obviously I'm not black, but I'm Mexican where my
For real?
family is like Mexican and
I
huh?
see in that lineup, boy. I tell you, but go ahead,
Oh,
make
shut
For
up.
real?
My my
Fool me.
family from my mom's side, shut the fuck up. My family from my mom's side is Mexican Indian. I mean, like the last funeral, I went to a funeral a couple months ago, and literally everyone there is with dark hair, dark skin, and I'm just walking in with my blonde hair, and people kept looking at me. I've been talking to my family in years because it's the same thing where it's like, oh, you're whitewashed. Oh, you think you're too good for everyone. You think you're too good for the family. The only difference is that I got out because my mom pushed me out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it is sad, but at the same time, that's why I say poor people mentality because you went like Princess K, you mentioned you went to private school, and I mean, from your photo to me, you look like a regular black person. What you do and what you don't do doesn't concern me. It's your origin. But
Right.
to the other to each individual's culture, that what it really comes down to is like they didn't do it. So like meaning I know of family members that I have one uncle in Miami that did the same thing. He cut himself off from the rest of the family and they talk shit about him too. But the reality is that every person has the ability to want to do better. Like Ancestors, you're talking about eating with a fork and a knife and eating healthy. I know you're eating healthy. Your like eating habits are they're healthier than mine. Like and
I will fatten you up, I promise you. But go ahead. What the?
The hell this nigga say?
I saw a snigger pop up.
But
Oh,
really,
God.
like I
you
was
know,
saying.
to bring in Primal's point, it is dehumanizing. And as a child, when you have that happening with you, like people who are of your community do not accept you,
Yeah.
it does make you form a certain level of insecurity. Like I remember trying to act like everybody else wanted me to act until I was maybe 13. And my dad was just like, we put you in private school for a reason.
That.
Like, and first of all, your blackness isn't defined by the way you speak. You're educated. That's not a sign of being white. It's a sign of being an educated person. There's no color involved in that. And the people before you are black activists, talk just like you, a lot of them.
Hmm.
And they help to fight for rights. So you should never be you should never act like you're not proud of that because we wanted you to speak this way. We want you to be articulate.
Yeah.
You know,
What it reminds me of? It reminds me of like two things. One is Princess K, your story kind of reminds me. Have you ever seen The Love You Hate or The Love You Give?
I think so. Run
She's
it back.
like so she's black, but it was based off like one of her friends was shot by a cop. That's like the basis of it. But her backstory is that she was in private school. She lived in the hood. Her parents were black activists, and they put her in private school to give her that education. But when she was back home, she was acting and behaving the way that other people in the neighborhood were like. Whereas when she was in private school, then she became prim and proper and like this total different person, because that's how she had to, in her mind, survive. Because if she was in the in between, the white people would call her out for being too, quote, ghetto, and then the Black community would call her out for being like better than or snobby. And like just everything that you're saying, it's like if you watch the movie, it is a really, really good movie because it talks a lot about the things that we're talking about now. And I like watched it on the way back from Miami one time, like the whole flight, and I was like in my car, I'm like, it's so sad. It's I think at the end of everything, what it comes down to is negligence, being an idiot, and as well as being educated on things, and hate. Because if you take this conversation into like feminism, I always say that feminists, like whatever the woke community of feminists are now, not all of them, but the ones that were leading the way and all that shit, they're fucking batshit crazy ass bitches, because feminism is supposed to give women the choice to do whatever they want and have equality if they choose to, or be a fucking housewife if they choose to. And it's the same thing in this conversation, where it's like if you're trying to better your life, if your parents put you in, because my mom put me in private school too, and that was like a really big factor where like my family.
Sorry, that's me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm like, what the hell? It's I went through that same thing, and it's like it wasn't in, I'm not in the Black community, but it was still the same in the sense of like my Hispanic culture. And I just think that it's not something that you should feel bad for or insecure about. And I think that there's going to be a time where you're going to meet another young girl or another young boy that is also trying to make it out and better themselves. And that's where you become an example. That's where you start showing them like it's okay to try and better your life. There's nothing wrong with it.
But that's pretty much where we're good with that. But it's kind of hard, saying like her parents plant a seed for her, so it's like move on forward, move on to the next, move on to the next. Just like the generational wealth, but she's doing it as it's been created as more of the generational knowledge, that generational awareness. So we're moving forward with that. But when we were young as toddlers,
right,
it's kind of hard to maneuver on that, because you have, not saying her parents, but you might have like, because I'm pretty much a single household parent growing up. So you have like that one, the aunts or the uncles or the cousins shifting you in all these directions, so you don't understand. And it's like, okay, now you got to kind of figure it yourself. And then sometimes it may take a little bit too longer for you to figure it out. You see what I'm saying? So that's where the struggle begins. I might make mistakes, arguing or fighting with Primal, when myself, I'm too ignorant and too dumb not to understand what that word means or where it comes from, or just how to properly speak to even get my understanding or my meaning across to him, because he might not know. So it's kind of hard with those little walls built up from there. But I will think of this, because since you mentioned the movie, and it's not just for Prime, but just anybody else that they never seen it, because I had me thinking of if anybody have Netflix, definitely check it out. It's called Dear White People. It's pretty much basically it's pretty much like kind of a comedy / stereotypical of everything, but it also brings up every element that's the stuff me and Primal talked about, stuff that we having a conversation about, what words you can't say, the struggles of a lot of Black people. But in its entirety, it's pretty much just Black college kids, going to college, some little comical stuff here and there, and there's a lot of messages there too. You know what I'm saying? But it's very interesting. It's a good conversation, and for most Black people that's socially aware, they get it. Most people that understand it, it's that, okay, this will be a conversation to actually have, so it can get explained. And hell, white guy, black guy, white girl, black guy, hey, let's sit down, have it, laugh, and joke around about it. But hey, if you got questions, bring it up, because that's the show. That's the show.
See, I'm trying to bring
just
black
remember-
and white together. Can't you see? I'm trying to make it all happen right here for you.
Hey, real talk. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like I said, when we had the conversation about the Joe Rogan thing, that was a good conversation. And pretty much anybody wasn't aware of the whole the Joe Rogan situation. Pretty much he said the N word, but the media displayed it with these crazy clips as like he was saying it in a derogatory way. He was actually saying it over the course of 3 years that he was trying to understand it same way Primal is bringing it up. The only difference is Primal not actually saying the word. He's like, "Hey, I genuinely want to know. I have questions myself, and I'm for him is a good friend of mine, and to me and to Poppy is a brother to us. I said, hey, why not just do it? Because the conversation got so long and intense. I said, hey, why don't we just bring it on this platform, have the actual conversation about the N word, and let's see where we can go with that. Because again, maybe, just maybe, the fact that I'm black, maybe there's something I don't know. And look at us now. I wasn't aware the N word was originally the Italian word for black. Miss K didn't know certain things that was brought up on her end, and I remember her very well when she spoke very eloquently, or you're not, that she said, "Hey, a story about her dad was explained to her about kings and how and be a queen and be more humble." I remember that story very clearly, and a lot of stuff we don't know, we're not aware of. But when you hear these conversations and you hear these little documentaries and you hear these authors like again, shout out to Roland Kennedy, author and graduated from Harvard University, and it's another documentary from James Baldwin, also another black man that did a documentary in 1963 called "Take This Hammer." You hear these people from then and now. We wasn't aware of this, so it's like, okay, well, I really want to know. I want to know the history of it. I know what the education of it. I want to see why is it so now a word that is like is a cool word to say. And if it's so much a cool word to say, why everybody can't say it? But now the same thing Primal's asking, he still asks it because I'm asking myself, if it's so much a derogatory name, that's a name that's been put down like you as an object, less than a dog, you are property. That name was labeled for you. So why are we still using it? So it's like a give and take. So now where we go with that? But I'm gonna go to this next clip before we jump into anything else. And this is pretty much a reaction to, I think it kind of pivots a little bit to what Poppy was saying a little bit. Real quick, 1 second. That's not it. 1 second, please. All right, cool. There we go.
At the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
You sit with the niggers. That's why we know that by then the word had become a slur.
So why are people like, very successful popular comedian like Larry Wilmore who addressed the president with the word at the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
So, Mr. President, if I'm going to keep it 100. Yo,
We
Barry,
can't see it.
All right, Kat, 1 second, please.
But also a lot of the rappers and people, what don't they know? I mean, they're using it almost as a term of it.
Well, it doesn't seem.
Sorry about that.
That's better, but we can't hear it.
All right.
UHS.
There you go.
That was meant in a derogatory way. It seems merely descriptive.
When did it become the kind of word that is so controversial today?
Go back and take a look at what some black writers were saying in the 1820s, the 1830s. They make mention of how white people would tell their children, if you don't behave, we're going to put you in the nigger seat. If you don't behave, we're going to make you sit with the niggers. That's why we know that by then the word had become a slur.
So why are people like, very successful popular comedian like Larry Wilmore who addressed the president with the word at the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
So, Mr. President, if I'm going to keep it 100. Yo, Barry, you did it, my nigga.
But also a lot of the rappers and people, what don't they know? I mean, they're using it almost as a term of endearment.
The infamy of nigger is a word that has been used to terrorize people, to put people down. But it has also been used in other ways. It's also been used as a way of putting a mirror up to racism. So Dick Gregory titled his first memoir, Nigger, an autobiography. Richard Pryor had a number of albums. That Nigger's Crazy, Bicentennial Nigger. Is he using nigger to put black people down? No, he's using it ironically. He's sometimes using it playfully. He's using it often as a mirror to shame racism.
And I don't want them hip white people coming to me calling me no nigger or telling me nigger jokes. I don't like it.
Then you've got people who have the idea of taking nigger back. So you have some people who say, well, nigger has been used to put us down. What we're going to do is grab this word and we're going to use it for our own purposes.
But do they know the history of it?
Well, one of the reasons I wrote a book about this was because I got the sense that there were, especially young people, who were using the word who did not have an understanding of the history behind the word. So I spent 40 pages just giving instance after instance after instance of the way in which this word has been used to hurt black people.
Mm-hmm. Hasn't it also been used against other ethnic groups, Chinese, Mormons, Jews?
It's the atomic bomb of racial slurs. It is the racial slur that has been used in other contexts. So for instance, Palestinians, the niggers of the Middle East, the Irish, the niggers of Europe. This is a term that has been generalized around the world. If you want to put somebody down, analogize them to the nigger.
Given the
That was a good one. What's your thoughts on that one, Kay? Is this something that you was aware of, or no?
This is something I'm aware of. My parents educated me about that, which is why I've never used the word, and it wasn't used in my household or really amongst any of my family members. But I have grown up in an environment, or more so a generation, where I don't feel like some of the people around my age are fully aware of the background of the word and how it was used to be a racial slur of the highest form to us. In my neighborhood, that was kind of like slang to use the term to describe a friend. So it wasn't just blacks using it. It was the Hispanics, the white kids, the Asians. As long as they were cool with each other, then they could use the word. I've never used it, but in terms of my friends using it around me, it's, I've always been like, hey, do you know where that comes from? Do you know the background? Are you aware that if you use it here and you use it in another neighborhood where they don't know you, you could be jumped? Stuff like that. And I remember I was on a panel, and this one guy, he comes from out of the country. I don't remember. It's like it starts with the K. I can't even remember it fully. But he was saying something, and then I heard him say, what was it? Black nigger storage or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Dead nigger storage. He apparently was quoting a quote from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, I think the scene. Oh, okay, the scene where Samuel Jackson and his other partner comes.
Samuel
into,
Jackson.
Yeah, they come
And
into the
John
room.
Travolta.
Yeah, John Travolta comes to the room, and then it's a body in there. He's like, my main concern isn't about the money. Oh, my main concern is about the dead in the back of the closet.
Right. So he actually been quoting stuff all day, and he just so happened to say that quote. And they'd already warned me that, he has schizophrenia. He's always saying weird stuff, and everybody stopped and they were like, yo, that's not cool. And then we continued on. But another person had seen it and connected to some other people, a part of the YouTube streets on the black side. They all ended up rushing in, and my phone died before I could continue to stay on there. But I guess they all ended up rushing in and basically just started, insulting and, scolding the others that were on the video for the guy that said the word. And so it became such an intense conversation that apparently some of them started to threaten each other
Oh wow.
about over online.
Oh
Like
wow.
that's effective. But they started
how
to
he gonna find
threaten.
them?
Right, you know, but I was actually in a Discord
For
chat
real.
with this guy. I got connected to him, and so I told him, he genuinely seemed like he didn't understand what the word was and why it affected them so badly.
hmm
So I patiently explained to him what was going on, and he's like, "Oh, I won't use it again. I'm sorry. I didn't know it would get that much feedback. I was just quoting a quote from a movie. I didn't think much of it, you know." And he was also off of 4 days of sleep and no meds too, so uh, schizophrenia is kind of not a
Yeah.
good thing to work with. It's
No.
not an excuse,
Yeah.
but
Was
he
they
I
aware of
can
it? Was they aware
understand.
of it beforehand, or was they aware of it beforehand before he actually said it, or they was like how
They
I'm
weren't aware of it.
okay.
Like,
Okay.
they only heard what that person told them, but they didn't watch the actual video replay to see what had been said, and that the other people had actually said, "No, yo, that's not cool. Don't say that." And so they
Yeah.
just went on. So that was just a whole intense sort of thing. But about the word, I'm of the mind that none of us should be saying it at all.
I wonder if when the comedian said that to the president, did the president like pull this on like, hey, no.
Right. That's not the circles to use that sort of language at all. Like maybe between the two of you, because I say it's kind of like I don't like to use the word at all, but at the same time, it's like some things that are within friends and family, that's within that sort of environment.
Yeah.
I can't police everybody in their household. So if you say it within those boundaries, that's you. I still wouldn't do it, but that's you. But
hmm
to do that on national television, that's not necessarily a good look for. I don't know if I'm not familiar with him, so I don't know if he's a politician or a comedian.
No, he's a comedian. But and this is my thing, even with that, because at the end of the day, it's become business, and maybe he was doing it for like, and Pop is like big about the whole clout thing, so maybe he did it for the attraction of it, so he'll get asked about it. But on a professional level, especially with a comedian, sometimes most, especially on that stage, because he's with the president and other politicians. Hey, Mr. President,
Right.
I know I'm about to speak of you and highly of you. These are jokes I'm going to use because most people actually bring it up. This is what I'm going to say. Is it okay? So I feel maybe he probably did tell it to him, and he probably had that conversation like how you had. Hey, if it's just you, it's on you. But long as I'm not
Mhm.
interacting with you about that, and I'm not saying it, and I'm not giving you the okay publicly like that, then that's between you and the public. So I think that's maybe how it got played out. But even still, just so it won't be that much of a controversy, me personally, and this is again, everybody has individuality is different. Me personally, I kind of just weed away from it. But I think the way that was portrayed, he was either trying to make a statement or get some kind of little bit of clout. Like, hey, I'm in front of the president, I'm in front of everybody, politicians and stuff, I'm in front of the news. Let me say this so I can get asked questions. So now the eyes and attention can be on me. That's how I took it.
Okay.
But it could be the same. It could be like everything else we said. Hey, he just thought he can say it and get away with it because, quote unquote, he's black.
Right. I'd say if he was a politician, that now that you said he's a comedian,
Mhm.
it's still not that cool, but it's like
Yeah, it's like you
I feel like
acceptable.
comedians are the one thing. They kind of have like I don't think they should be censored per se
Okay.
sometimes.
Now, do
But
you
What
remember?
about Joe Rogan saying it though? He's a comedian,
Yeah, he's
right?
a comedian. Oh, and there's another
Oh,
one. What's the Kramer? He was a comedian, and he was just blowing it. He was shooting that stuff out like M16s all day at his stage, and he got pretty much blacklisted. And I haven't heard from him since, as far as career goes. But I think
see, if
those
you're
Yeah, but
black and a
he was
comedian,
saying it under different
that's
context.
fine.
exactly that's what I'm saying.
That he was
Right.
yelling at guy that was watching his thing because he was being heckled and went off on him and used the racial slur as a derogatory term to insult him. So that's why he got canceled. You got Joe Rogan, I think, was played out of context too, because if you see the actual recordings, like you said, like they're cut up and anyway, that's a whole other thing. We talked about it before. What was that? The white lady's name?
Paula Dean. Anybody heard of
Paula
Paula Dean? Primal?
She had a cook.
I was gonna say, wasn't she some
sad.
old Southern white lady with a cook?
That's like
always
everybody.
throwing butter in all her food.
Right, but she was, and that's, I think it takes into the context because again, she was saying it as a racial slur because she didn't know the cameras were rolling and got caught up. But then it came out that she was on the regular. That's how she talked to people, and that's how she talked in general. So that's a racist ass Southern white lady. Like, it's just, and I think the reason that the comedian, for me, I think the comedian is a black comedian using it in his own form, in his own meaning, whatever it is. I just think that like each individual black person has their own way and should be allowed to use it however they want. I just think other people can't use it. Shouldn't.
Yeah, like, and it's kind of like if I'm in my family and it's stuff that they call me, right? Like, so my father has Asian on his side. So they make fun of my eyes a lot of the time, right?
Oh my God.
And so they might
What they say to you?
they might make some comments like tofu slit. Like they'll say tofu slits
What?
Jesus.
to refer to my eyes.
What that means?
That's a new one. I never heard that.
That-
Tofu slits. Like her eyes.
Tofu slits.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
you live
like
at?
I still hit them.
Where
They
you
still
live
get
at?
me on.
You know what tofu
What
slit?
city you live in?
Tofu slit. I live in California.
Oh, that's plenty. You in San
It's
Francisco?
it's really just something they came up themselves.
Every time I hear a problem, somebody follows that up with, "I live in California."
Hey, probably started to be a trend.
What I always say,
No,
yo,
but they're from the
what I
south.
always say.
The hardest
I don't
issues
know
always
who.
come
I
from
think it was
California.
a cousin who came up with it, and she was like, "Oh, it's like your eyes are so tiny. It's like making
Girl, I'm gonna
cuts
stop you
in
right here.
tofu."
First of all, black Asian women are the
And
most
not all
goddamn
Asians
beautiful thing
have
in the
small
entire
eyes
world.
too.
Right, but you
Right.
I don't know why all these people in your family or whoever you know that's bagging on you. I bet you anything you're like a really pretty Amazonian princess ass bitch. So don't let it like I just get mad because I'm like, I will say this. I'm not into girls, so let me make sure I'm clear with that. But I think the most stunningly beautiful
sure?
women on this earth have always been Blasian women, the black and Asian women. So
I got you, Primal.
I'm not insecure about it. Like I said, they get hit when they call me that. I still kick them and sock them when they call me that.
yeah,
You know,
it's
but
just
it's more so like a jeer. Like I know they don't exactly mean it, but if somebody outside of my family was to call me that,
right.
then there would be a problem. So it's probably kind of like that. But I get why the confusion about why you guys say it, but you don't let anybody else say it. I can understand that, but it's kind of like what goes in the family stays in the family.
Yeah, let me add to that too because
It doesn't make all that much sense.
Yeah, that's the
and let me add
that's
to that.
the terminology, right?
Yeah,
But you couldn't say
yeah.
any better. That's what I was looking for. Like,
Yeah, because and I'm gonna add that to context because I know Primal kind of brought it up earlier and saying, hey, you know, it's wrong to say regardless, whatever. And we in that side of the community growing up, it sucks. It is mentally damaging. It will pivot you in a direction like of confusion, especially as a toddler coming up and you're trying to self-identify and you self-identify longer in life, whether it's your 30s, 40s, and 50s. And depending on the type of town, city, state, country you live in, it's crazy. So, and I say this to parents, guardians, adults who's raising kids, who's nephewing up. Be very cautious of what you say to your kids. The only thing adults supposed to be doing to their children is encouraging them to be a better version of you. That's it. Give them the best you can give them that you are. Encourage them. If they're gonna make mistakes, I'd rather have them make mistakes. But you're using the words. The tongue is the most dangerous thing out there. And I'm gonna quote my man Sharp from No Jumper. You know what I'm saying? He said, "Hey, he know people, mostly women, say, hey, I'd rather get beat up, raped, than anything else, than rather have me emotionally damaged by words you say. Words hurt. Words put you in a mental mind space you cannot get from. That a therapist have to take years to work on you. So encourage your children, the young ones, nieces and nephews, heck, even ones that you don't even know of, and they say something that's just Looney Tunes or silly. Hey, let me just talk to you real quick and just let me educate you in the word. Even same thing with Poppy. Poppy said, hey, I'll say the word, but guess what? If I hear somebody, let me just educate you, because there's certain things, the history of this word, the places you're saying it at is damaging. Because I myself don't care, and I'm speaking in Poppy's shoes that moment, thinking, hey, I myself do not care. You got 4, and I'm gonna address these other sisters around you. Check your friend, check your white friend. If not, I'm gonna check her and y'all, and maybe I'll check the man too, because that's where now I'm triggered. That's how far it's getting. So just encourage the young ones to come up to be a little bit more better in their ways. But that being said, I want to play this last clip, and then we can go ahead and finish out a conversation about it. It's pretty much pivoting to what I'll say. I'm not gonna leave Poppy alone on this one, but pretty much what me and Poppy saying about it.
Yo, hey, Angela, I send you something. Check the group chat.
All right, cool. That's in the here or the IG.
IG.
Okay. Thank you. Checking out. So while I'm checking that real quick, I'm gonna play this clip.
Anybody hear that helicopter?
We don't live in California, ma'am. So you need to run. That's the FBI. I don't know what y'all do over there. Y'all need to handle that. You need to handle that. All right. Play the clip.
A white fan up on stage to rap along with him, but one lyric made him shout her down. Now take a look.
Wait. Am I not cool enough for you? What's up, bro? You gotta bleep one single word, though. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I do it? Yeah, you did it. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. Should you stay up here, y'all?
Well, so was he right to call her out for dropping? I'm not gonna say the N-word. That's ridiculous. The word, and it's in the lyrics. Yeah. Okay, it's written in the lyrics. She was singing his lyrics. Should he have called her out on that?
I don't think so. Do you think so?
I don't think he should have, because don't put it in if you don't want people to sing it.
That's what I think.
We always talk about taking ownership on the word, and I think there are those schools of people that do own it and use it to try to take the power away, and then others.
No, they're not white people.
No, I'm just saying it's confused. This one's a tough one because this is someone that's expressing she's a fan and she loves his work and she's singing.
I know, it's almost like a setup though for the poor girl. I felt sorry for her, and then
I
in the
will
middle
say,
of it
though,
to like out her like that and make the audience.
I will say though, I think as a white person, you should. There's no ever any situation where you should say that word under any circumstances. And I will say for me though, there's this Beyonce song called "Sorry." I know every single song on Lemonade, and I can sing every single lyric to every single word. And she uses the N-word in it. And when I sing it, I was singing in the car with my sister last time I was home, and we didn't. It was like we didn't say it when we were singing it, and it just instinctually we didn't do it because I think it is a loaded word with a lot of history. And
Bro, is she on Adderall? Jesus.
No, I sped up for YouTube, so we won't get
Oh.
copyright.
Woo! She was like,
Can everybody throw in the sense that God gave them? Because it's YouTube. We got to be careful with YouTube. Got to be careful. Because I would have had this sucker upside down, flipped around, and colorized it. But that's why I said I like Primal's channel, because he actually have like the whole Wikipedia, the research papers. He'll read it down for you. He have like 8 pages long, and he'll break it down for you. He read it, break it down for you. So I appreciate him for that, because I was like, I ain't reading all that.
Zaddy's got such a good schedule. Zaddy takes care of us so well.
But I appreciate that, because hey, let me get these little clips in and show it to everybody so they can see a more visual of it. Because you know how some people is, Primal, they don't want to read.
That's why I do that reading for y'all. That's why I do that reading, because Because you might think one thing when you look at me, but I like to read. You know what I mean?
There you go. But that's pretty much what Poppy was saying earlier with the whole song and lyrics, and Prime was agreeing with too. It's like that
It's funny you say that.
that Whooper said. Yeah, it's crazy because
It's
like
funny that you posted that because it's not like we coordinated it.
yeah, it's
You heard
crazy.
me?
So
I say it's funny that you posted that video.
which video?
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
That one that you just reacted to because I mentioned that sample earlier.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
that was like pretty much like I'm checking. That was like 3. No, it was 2 years ago. About 2-3 years ago when that happened, that it got reported. And me personally, I didn't like how he handled it. It's your words. You wrote it, or you had a ghostwriter and you signed up for it. So now you want to bring
Yeah.
up. You pretty much did it because it's your stage, it's your show. You pretty much had a white girl come on. I feel like it was a setup. You had a white girl come on. The girl like questioned like, what did I do? And it's like, hey, you can bleep out this one word while you're saying it. Why?
Right.
That's the question of the day. Why?
Mm-hmm.
That he didn't have to do her like that,
Well, he didn't.
honestly.
He didn't. That's why I come back to these young impressionable minds. Young impressionable minds.
It's a muscle memory, man. Like he have to say something. He cannot let that slide, yo. He gotta say something, right? It don't matter if I wrote it. You don't have to say it. You can skip
really?
that one.
He did
You
have
can skip
to
that
say
one.
something,
why-
but I'm just like the way it was done. I
Yeah.
don't agree with. But
Yeah, 'cause
yes,
it did look like a
I do
setup.
agree with him checking
Oh, how
her.
you supposed to do it then?
But
Why
yeah,
he bring her
the
on
way it
stage?
was done,
Why he bring her on stage? Why he bringing a white chick on
That's
stage
that's
for her to
the
sing
part
the
that's a
song?
setup.
For her to sing the song, you in your mind gonna
It's not
swear
a
that you.
setup, yo.
I think it was a setup. It was
Okay,
gonna be-
look. Pay attention to
He
this.
didn't.
Pay attention
Alright.
to this. Look at what was the all females were talking. That's the View, right?
Yeah.
That's the show, The View.
Mhm.
Where Whoopi
Yeah.
Goldberg was.
Our
Mhm.
favorite
The
show.
homegirl,
Yeah.
the white girl is playing it the best. She was like, yeah, when Beyonce dropped a song, she say nigga, and we just skip over the word. It's
But
muscle memory.
But here
You
goes, sir. I
know,
got here
Yeah,
goes, sir.
but you're
But
talking
she
sir,
about
wanted to
sir,
say it.
sir. But you're talking about huge age gap. That woman on the View
right?
is well educated. Crap, her father is in Congress something. That is a teen girl that's in love with that man and his music. That clearly probably sit
Exactly.
at home all day, wrote the words down, remembered it verbatim, and ran with it. So when she got the moment to jump on stage, she went hot and heavy on it to represent for him and the
It's
fans.
universal, bro.
Right.
It's
It's
different.
universal.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
not
care if
everybody.
I don't care if you.
But not everybody knows, Poppy. That's what we're talking about. You're
No,
saying it's
no.
universal. I'm
It's
saying it's universal, but not
Universal,
everybody. 'cause you
everybody's
got-
supposed to know in all age, colors, and sizes that they're supposed to know the N word is a
Yes,
derogatory word.
Now you sound
yes.
ignorant,
There's
Poppy.
a function
No.
that they don't.
I think
Like I
It's
said,
universal. When the N word come, if you white, you skip that word.
Hey,
It's that simple. It's not hard.
no, like I
We just saw
said,
another
the
video
people.
of the rapper. The rapper literally just said it. You just said, well, he came from that hood, and it's like a big melting pot, and blah blah. So it's not everybody. You are literally contradicting what you just
No,
said
but
over
Fat
20
Joe is
minutes ago.
Fat Joe is one of us.
Okay, what about the white
How
girl
is
you
he?
just checked and
That's
corrected?
one of our people.
What about the
What you mean?
what about the white girl you checked and corrected in the line? You said you had to educate her and her friends, but she didn't know. Her friends gave her a pass publicly, a pass.
No, she knew. She just got comfortable saying. She knew what she was doing.
It's a
So
difference.
what is
Of
the
course she
difference
knew, man.
between
She knew what
him
that word.
and her?
Bro,
She's with two black.
everybody
people.
know what the
Her
word
baby
means.
daddy's a black.
Time out.
She's with two black people, and she has her baby daddy was a black man. And you're saying that Fat Joe, because he's a rapper and came from New York and is around black people, it's okay for him, but it wasn't okay for her. You got a double standard, homie.
We all got that with standard. I'm not afraid
do?
to admit mine.
We do.
Everybody got that.
On this
We all got
on
that
this
with
subject
standards.
matter, sir. On this subject matter, sir. You're saying we all have double standards on this subject matter. The N-word.
I fucking love you, puppy.
No, this
The
stuff in life.
only one I'm
Stuff
saying
in
here is the
life.
only one I'm saying neutral here
But
is
look,
Primal that said, I don't care what shape or form I'm in. I don't care if Jesus himself came down. I understand the word. It's a no for me, sir. I'm telling you, I understand it from both ends, but I'm telling you, there's a time and place to say it. I understand that because how? No. I'm giving. Hold on. I'm saying the reason why I understand. The reason why I understand there's a time and place for it because of how my upbringing is. But at the same time, I get where you're coming from. But know this: at age of 43, still living and breathing, sir. Everybody, as all the little clips we just know from another country coming back all the way to here, from the century of 1600s all the way back up to the year 2023. Everybody don't know. Some people think it's either cool, and some people think it's acceptable. Some people's giving passes. Some people's giving them little nods and nudges. You're okay. And Prima's a perfect example. He just said, "Hey, I have black friends, black coworkers, people I come across on a daily basis give me the okay and say, hey, you're that nigga." But guess what? He's not going to say the word nigga because he understands that word. So everybody don't know.
And I think it's incumbent upon us to strike it down in the appropriate places. Like, believe me, if I ever hear one of my children say that word, their face is going to be hurting for a minute.
There you go.
And that's my point. Prima just made my point.
What point was that, sir?
That girl that got on stage, she knew. She knew what she was doing. She just thought that was like, oh, I'm gonna break the racial barrier, and I might just throw my N word in here.
I think you're making that bigger than what it is, sir. You're making that bigger than what it is, sir. You make like some king.
How old you think that girl was? How old you think that girl was?
She's in her teens, sir. She's in her teens.
And she know what the word. Everybody know what the word means, bro. Come on,
she thought it was a cool word to say because it's in her rap.
Yeah, but okay, I'm gonna tell you. Here's one of the
everybody
things
walk. Listen, hold on. Time out. Everybody. I got little cousins that are 8 years old that got one of these. I got them smartphone. They know what the fuck that word means, yo. They know. I don't want to hear it talk about they don't know. They know.
Let me slide my head over here a little bit, Poppy.
Hi.
Now, I got you, Mika. So since you're using that phone as evidence and proof and court of public opinion saying, hey, everybody got a smartphone, so they should know. Let me explain something right here because we on this little circle. You yourself has a smartphone, but goddamn it, I love you, brother, but you don't know how to use that goddamn smartphone for most of your medias and everything else that we be explaining. So you yourself at your age is different.
Yeah. Meaning of a word, bro.
People, I know, but we're doing no. We're doing a comparison like you said of people should know. So again, it's many times between Minka, Rogue, explain to me in certain things I don't know in a tech savvy word. You know what I'm saying? Mika lives in the media. I'm watching the media. It's a difference. So I'm not gonna.
I live in the media.
You know what I mean?
You are the media.
Yeah, you are the media. But it's not gonna be. It's not gonna be common sense for me to say, for me like, oh, I know Angelus because he got a smartphone, so he got to know Instagram. He got to know this. No, I'm not gonna know that. That's ignorant for her to say that. Just like it's ignorant for you to make a comment saying, hey, if just because you got a smartphone, they need to know. No, you know how many people just on a $1,000 smartphone don't know how to use a GPS to Google an address?
That's what. Listen, go back and read her comment. She was like, "What? You don't think I'm cool enough? What? Yo, she associate nigga with being cool.
That's the point we're trying to make. That's the point. That's the point.
You know what it means, bro.
I'm gonna hop off. Peace out.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
You know what it means.
You guys both have big dicks, okay?
No.
That's just what I say when people yell.
That's crazy. Go ahead, Minka and Kay. Do you have thoughts to share? Because this is Poppy said some stuff right now.
So here's the deal. It's Poppy, I get where you're coming from, but just the same way that you think God, why can't I remember his name, the rapper?
The one just recently, or are you talking about Fat Joe?
Which one?
Fat Joe.
Chubby Joe.
The rapper now?
No, Fat Joe, bro.
No, Fat Joe.
He's not fat.
It's okay for Fat. I know he lost a lot of weight. Anyway, sorry. Fat Joe. It's like socially okay for him to say it because he grew up with a bunch of black people and he's one of them and he's from the hood and it's a melting pot. It's the same thing in Texas and in a lot of parts of LA. I myself have made it a choice of not to say that
No,
word because
Claudio
I
tell
don't,
you that he
because I
got
know the
black in
history.
him.
May I finish?
I'm
I'm
telling you
not
what he
done.
said.
Did I finish? I'm not
Let her
done.
finish, please.
Yeah.
Let her
You can't
finish.
interject. You got to calm down and let me finish. Otherwise, I can't get my point across. Listening means that you actually have to hear what I say. Now just jump on me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Get it?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
I got it. I got
You gotta
you.
make Poppy smile.
Oh no, but you about to make me go.
Emotional damage.
I got family in Texas. I have family in Texas, and there is no difference between, everybody says it, between Mexicans, Hispanics, and Black people. And the Black people are like, no, there's no difference. And that's on like one part of it, right? Then you got up north. If you go to Washington, not a single person is going to say it at all. That's a bad word. If you go to New York, it's a melting pot. Maybe someone's going to say it on that corner. Maybe someone's going to say it on that corner. That's what makes it so difficult for everybody else to understand it. You got to have some sort of understanding that that girl, when she said, what, I'm not cool enough, maybe she's used to people saying, oh, you're cool, you can say it, it's cool, it's not even a bad word, you're singing it, it's not a bad word when you're singing it. There's so many different variations. That's where you, Poppy, have to help educate people like that. If they think it's okay, then educate them why it's not okay, what the history of it means, that it really signified like, hey, you're not even human, or anything like that, instead of just accusing and thinking like, okay, she knows what she's doing. Because then you're not helping the situation, you make it bigger and worse. That's my take on it. Finally.
Okay.
Fuck, dude, I was holding that
Now,
shit in for a minute.
my education would be is I'm gonna make it very simple. I'm gonna make it.
Beta. Go ahead.
I'm gonna make it very simple. If you are blonde, blue eyes, green eyes, whatever fuck eyes you got, or white, just don't say it. It's that simple. Don't say it. That's the education right there. Because you don't want to be like, oh man, I said with my friends, I said with my friends over here. Yes, don't say at all, because that was that a Kendrick Lamar concert?
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar.
I think it was Kendrick. Yeah, it was Kendrick. What the hell, 14-year-old doing a Kendrick Lamar concert? But anyway,
Hey, Kendrick's dope. I have a question for you.
Go ahead, Kay. Kay
Yeah,
has
don't
a
say
question for you, Poppy.
Go ahead.
Was it Kay said that, or was it Aminka? I'm sorry.
Me.
Okay.
Poppy, I have a question, because you specified basically white people. So, but wouldn't like the Hispanic community and Asian community, all the other cultures, if they're not Black, wouldn't they be also in that same category?
You're right. Asians don't say it either. White Europeans don't say it. And some Spanish don't say it. Because it's also white people in the...
You're sticking to your guns with the whole Fat Joe. You're sticking with your Fat Joe.
I'm telling you the truth. If you go to Colombia, where I was born, you got white Hispanic people. They come from European descendants. They are blue eyes.
You got the widows.
Blonde hair. Obviously, they're from Europe. Huh?
Right.
So
I'm
obviously
like
they
that.
cannot say either. And then you got
right.
And then you got Negroes like me. Dark as hell, come from Africa. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So even you go to other countries, going to be the same classification the way it's here.
Oh, so
that's what I'm trying to tell you.
So you meant by some Hispanic, you meant like the non-Black Hispanics.
Exactly, the white ones.
Okay. So
The
wouldn't
European
Fat
descent.
Joe be? So wouldn't Fat Joe be in that classification?
I'm telling you what I know. The man said he got black, I think it's his mama's, his daddy's side is black. I don't know his goddamn parents. I'm going for
But
what
Poppy,
he's saying.
is he black enough? Is he black enough?
That's a good question. That's a good question. That's not even a joke. That's a good question. That's a good question. That's not a joke. That's a good question. Is he
I mean,
black
I
enough?
was kind of being,
In my eyes, it is.
sassy with it, but
That's a good
honestly,
question.
when I saw that video and heard him talking about that, I was kind of just like, I didn't know that he had people that are Black in his family. So I was like, well, why the fuck is he talking about this when he's not in the community?
Well, he just is.
I'm not even fucking with that dude. Sorry, excuse my
you're
French.
good. You're good.
The last time I heard him say some derogatory comments about some dark-skinned woman. So I don't actually agree with him saying it at all. It doesn't count. And usually for a lot of people in the Black community, it does not count if your great grandfather was Black.
You already know
The
how that goes.
basic
You already
thing.
know how that goes,
They
Kay.
don't. They might not even. They might not even count people with a Black father or a Black mother as Black. Like that's how messed up it is. It's
Okay.
so confusing.
Hey, you already know how that goes.
The water get
That's like
muddy
me.
a lot.
You already know how that goes, Kay. Like back in the day, growing up, and probably I don't know if you ever heard this, and this is just me giving an example to Primal, along to the other viewers out there. Pretty much, just the white community out there. A lot of Black communities say, if they got a straight hair or some kind of curls or their hair is luxurious, they make comments say, "Hell, oh, I got Indian in my family." So you already know, Kay. And when I say this, because they'll take a little bit of that ancestry and claim it instantly. Crap! I saw my ancestry when Primal was actually supposed to do a podcast and show everything. I gave my information. I saw 3% of Irish. I was going to claim that real quick because when I went to Ireland and Scotland and saw everything there in the castles, and I saw how beautiful the country is, and I could become a citizen instantly. I could work there for free for 5 years and no real issues. I was like, wow. I guess I am Irish. So, yeah, top it to the morning to you, my brother.
I grew up around people like that, and in the Black community, I won't speak for everybody, but technically, like the girls who were Black around me, I said I have mixed race in my heritage. I don't claim that as my full identity. I still claim Black, right? But other people, they say like, oh, I have a Native American uncle. I have a Native American great 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 grandmother of some
Yeah, that
kind,
can
like
be.
far back. That's like less than 5% of it, and you're claiming that as your identity, but you do you. But generally, if you're doing that, I knew those were the females around me who weren't secure in their identity. They felt some sort of shame at being Black.
Trying to be accepting.
Like the way they just completely cast away their identity and pulled onto this race that is far distant. You can't even claim a quarter of it within you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're using that as a way to identify for that, but you want to throw away anything about your Blackness away.
Mm-hmm. And that's another example too, Primal. So even to the white audience out there, it's like we as that community. And again, I don't know if you ever heard that before, Primal, but that's pretty much how most Blood community goes. Like, hey, they'll take a percentage of it. Oh, well, I got Annie in my like. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, I got Annie in my family. Oh, I love this about you. Oh, I love your complexion. Like, for example, I would go in the sun, and I still got that ability, so I'm gonna call it God's gift. But I'll go in the sun, but my skin won't get dark, but I will actually get turn red. And
Exactly.
and my community be like, oh, you got any in your family? Oh,
Like
okay.
my hair turns blonde and red during the summer, right? So growing up, I always claimed Black. I never went into my family heritage. But all the time I'd get from the girls around me,
Mm-hmm.
what are you? What your hair is really long and curly, and you got blonde, you got white, and is your mom white? What are you mixed with? I'm Black. That's always been my answer because I'm proud of it.
Yep.
Now they, like you said, they say somebody says they have some curly hair and it's straight enough. Oh, I have Native American. Oh, I have German. I'm German. Like just it's a form of self-hate.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard that before, Primal? That on Iron with the Black community that they will make I guess compliments to themselves. Like, hey, you got nice hair, you got nice skin complexion. Oh, I got Asian in my family. I got this in my family. But clearly, I can look at you and identify as you as Black American.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, and again, it makes me sad. It's like, well, what did Black people ever do to make you not want to associate or want to distance yourself from that. Let's say that was their primary heritage, right? Let's say that was 75% of their, genetic makeup or whatever. Like, that's the question I always ask is to myself, not to them, obviously, but it's like, man, what makes you not like, what makes you like, why, or like, why do you feel that way? And I guess it's probably, I don't know. I'm sure there's multi factors to it, but it's just a sad thing of like non acceptance or not wanting to be who you really are. And it
Right.
just sucks and it makes me sad.
Primal, it's not only people in the Black community, like you said, there's multiple reasons. But a lot of the time for little Black girls, if they weren't brought up in households where their Black identity was seen as something celebrated, right? There's this case study where a little Black girl was brought into this room and there's a number of dolls in front of her. So she could pick between a Black doll that looked like her with, her hair texture, coarse texture, right? Coils and all. And then she could pick between that and another doll that was blonde, blue-eyed, and
Yeah, I've heard this
everything.
one. Yeah.
So what she did was she chose the blonde doll. And they asked her why. And she said, it's because blonde doll is pretty. I see her as pretty. When you grow up as a Black girl in media, forms of media, a lot of places, not only do you hear people in the Black community calling other people's hair good hair, and saying like the mixed girls are more pretty, the biracial girls are more pretty, dark skinned girls aren't as pretty. You keep on hearing that. You see that around. You hear guys that you might be interested in saying they don't want to mess with girls who are dark skinned with coarse hair because they like the girls with good hair and lighter skin, right? And then you see forms of that in the media where a lot of the beautiful actresses and actors, they're light skinned with what is called good hair. I hate that term. And then, like, you see all of this around you and you grow up around that. You take those examples in and you internalize that. So it's a form, like I said, it's a form of this self hatred that grows from a multitude of reasons and environments and media. It just makes you think that you're not pretty because you're Black, because you have darker skin. You may have coarser hair. It makes you feel like you're not pretty. Now, in certain environments, like I said, where Blackness is celebrated, you won't actually grow up like that, but you do see forms of it outside of you. But it really all depends on your environment and what you're taking in around you. That's why I say to people in the Black community that I deal with and I'm friends with, I'm just like, teach your children about Black history. Teach them that there's more to life than just being a rapper or a singer or something or an athlete. Teach them that there are people who look like them who are also beautiful, just as beautiful as anyone else. Teach them about their history. If you can, look through go to see a genealogist. Find about your family history. Teach them who they are, instill that in them, the pride in the color of your skin, in the color of your eyes, in the texture of your hair. Because there's too many little Black girls out there and Black boys alike who are just internalizing this self-hatred, and it just grows into the bigger problem. They grow into adults who are just, it's really sad. They're turning away from what they are. That's not who you are,
And that's well and eloquently put. And I appreciate you for saying that too. Mika had to step out, so we're gonna give her a final say, and we're gonna continue to wrap it up from there.
Oh, Princess K, I love what you just said because that's the educational portion I think I talk a lot about in regards to any minority community is that it's the form of colonialization was still relevant in our society standards of what's beautiful and what's not, where the things that you just mentioned, it's like little girls that are Black being celebrated and beautiful and changing that aspect from where it was maybe like it's still currently relevant, but it was even more maybe like 5 years ago. It's just I love that you touched on that topic. And I think every culture has its own beauty. Every culture has derogatory words that have been used to describe them. And I think that everyone should try not to say stupid shit, you know? Don't say the N-word.
Pretty much.
Unless you're Black. It's pretty simple. It's like someone, I always love the saying, keep it simple, stupid. Like, it's pretty fucking simple. I'm not Black. I'm not going to say it. I suggest the same for other people. If you're Black and you say it to me, I'm going to say, thanks, I love you too. But that's about it. So I think this conversation has been really informative. I'm sorry that I have to go, but
Oh, you're fine. I appreciate you sticking around.
Cool.
I appreciate you sticking around for the duration of it. So thank you, Mika. I appreciate you.
Be
I
safe
love you
out there.
guys.
Love you
I
too.
will. You know, I'm always safe. I always valet and crap. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much.
All right. Catch you later.
Bye.